Hello. So, uh, it is currently Thursday. I had family camp going from Friday to Monday, and I want to say more than it was just good. It was invigorating. There, I realized just how much, uh, I was, I had, uh, just how out of out of not out of weight, out of balance. Nope, not out of balance. Just not fit. Just how not fit I was because of just how many sports we played. We went rock climbing. There was hockey. There was tubing and kayaking and volleyball and other games like Gaga Ball and it's just all sorts of stuff. I'm probably not listing half of them that we were doing, and we were doing these things for hours and hours. And oh man, throughout that weekend, I was just by the end of it, by Monday, I was just exhausted. But not only was it a good time for getting back into shape. That's it, out of shape. That's what I was looking for earlier. It was also a good time of uh, getting to know some of the youth better. It's been a while since we've talked to the youth since COVID and all that sort of stuff, and so I got to know some of the kids that used to be a bit too young 2 years ago that are now like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, that age range rounds there, that that are just fun to know and hang around with and talk to and impart wisdom into, and yeah, just just chill with. We played all sorts of games, board games, and just the funny thing about this camp was that every day we woke up early for some reason. So uh, on on Saturday we woke up early to go down to the beach and play volleyball. We played at like 6 a.m., like 6:15 roughly. And then there was this workout thing that was scheduled but not mandatory by any means that we attended. And then we went right back again to playing volleyball for like another hour. And so everyone else is waking up at like 8 in order to have breakfast, and we've already been up for 2 hours playing sports. And, but then on Sunday we got up at like 5:45 in order to go hiking. We went to the Othello tunnels and with just a bunch of the youth, and it was a good time of following a written down guideline of how to get there, but not actually having a map. So we were trying to figure out what the old road was, if it was like this path here or that path there. We're supposed to turn left there and right there, and when we hit this tree, we go straight through, or and stuff like that. It was like a treasure hunt, as some of the kids said. And finally, when we actually got to the tunnels, we spent the entire time taking pictures. Like the roughly 20 minutes that we had there, and then we had to immediately turn back around and go back. Yeah. And again, like, we were up for roughly 2 hours before everyone else, and we were already feeling tired by the time everyone else's days were starting. Uh, Another thing that was really nice was, at family camp they do this every single time where you go into these sort of semi-randomly assigned groups, and you get to know the people in the groups better than you would otherwise. People that you normally wouldn't have talked to from other age ranges and etc. etc. So you work together to do all sorts of different small tasks. And we had this Star Wars theme, which was at first just a smidge cringy with the skit that they did at the beginning, but it was probably on purpose. it was cringy. I mean, they were doing puns constantly, just involving faith and Star Wars, like, and Church of Zion stuff. Yeah. But they definitely pulled back on the Star Wars theme and definitely went more into, like, the church camp aspect of it, with just the flavor of Star Wars, which was I suppose that's the right way to do it. If you go to church camp and it's actually Star Wars camp, then that's not really what you're there for. um, yeah, there were a few things that were slightly off topic, that were absolutely terrifying, that I went into during church camp. The first thing that we went into that was just mind-bogglingly terrifying. Like, I'm willingly doing this for some reason. The first time I went tubing, that's fine. I went with two other scaredy cats that just actually went like this in order to slow down the vehicle for a little bit, and so that was fun. That was nice. We just kind of went back and forth and got back to the pier and went on with our day. But oh man, when I went with two of my friends, they had gone the previous day, and one of them got really badly hurt. Like he hit the water when he wiped out. He hit the water like this with his legs, and the surface tension went right. Gotta hold this with my legs. The surface tension was, if you imagine the surface tension being my chin, it went right there. Yeah, this leg enters and it just bam slams directly into the family jewels. Just whoo, and he was in pain, and there was swelling in places that are uncomfortable to talk about, and he went into way too much detail talking about it, and he was gonna go the next day like it was nothing, with the same friend and me now. And oh man, it was like there was a big old wait for tubing as well, and the guy that was driving the boat was going to give them a really really hard time again with the tubing experience, and so just that anticipation was terrifying. It's just standing on the pier like, oh man, I really don't want to get injured like that. I don't want swelling to happen down there. I want to have kids. And so we go the first time, and like we're planning. We're like, okay, whenever they turn, we have to lean. We have to literally jump onto each other in order to lean as heavily as humanly possible into one direction, while the boat's skidding in one way. Lean into the curve. And then when it like switches direction, like suddenly, you have to jump over and start leaning in the other direction. Oh man, that was thrilling and crazy. We wiped out so many times. But on the first tube, apparently there was a hole punctured in our ride, and so we had to go back. And then they pull out this thing that looks like a spaceship out of the out of the cave, and they fill it up, and it's got like, the main body and two different wings that are flopping up and down, where you're supposed to, like, be lying on. And we're planning on how we're going to be leaning on this thing, because it looks like if you just ride it the way that it was intended to be ridden, you will absolutely wipe out immediately. And so we're like grabbing in holds and like interlocking arms, and in order to like literally jump on each other and start leaning. And this thing, you have to literally pull up its arm, otherwise it will get sucked under the water and toss everyone overboard. uh yeah, that was crazy again. And they had to, after we were done with riding on that thing, they were like, "Yeah, that's too unsafe for everyone else." So we're the guinea pigs that go on to the Rips tube, and then the crazy unsafe tube. Yeah, that was that was something. Uh, it was fun. I didn't get injured. Hallelujah. Yeah. The second thing that was absolutely terrifying was a hot pepper eating contest. Probably the hottest pepper that I had ever eaten before that would have been, I don't know, like a chili pepper. No, not a chili pepper. Probably something around the 20,000 Scoville range. While we were eating a habanero pepper, like a full habanero pepper, which is in the 300,000 Scoville range. And the pepper that I had eaten before, it was in sauce form. It was like, just a bit, just a tiny, tiny little bit, and I was like fuming at the mouth. It was like I was breathing out fire, and so I'm not the best at taking spicy things. And we're about to do a hottie pepper eating challenge where we're eating a habanero pepper, something that's like at least 10 times more spicy than anything that I'd ever eaten before. I was, again, the calm before the storm was just frightening. I was literally hyping it up as much as I could so that when the actual thing happened, I would be uh, underwhelmed, as underwhelmed as possible, so that in my psychology I'd be able to keep going without just being obliterated by the spiciness. And so I was expecting this to be the most pain that I'd ever experienced in my life. And I've broken limbs, man. I've broken my leg, like a twist fracture before. Well, yeah, we bite into it, and it erupts into this volcanic fury in your mouth. Just, just like uh, a explosion of just pain, like it's clawing at your mouth. And so I try to I try to chew as little as possible and swallow as quickly as possible. And after I'm done with feeling the pain in my mouth, it feels like there's a red hot coal vibrating in my stomach, like literally vibrating. It had that sort of feeling, like it was like it was a radioactive red red, I don't know, just searing hot thing just eating into me when it was sitting in there. And oh man, that was it was definitely the worst part was the anticipation, definitely, with the pepper. uh yeah. Uh so those are some stories from the church camp. Uh, in terms of things that I learned, uh, I had a conversation with one of my friends afterwards talking about uh, what he thought uh, about about well marriage, and it's sort of spun into a massive conversation that spanned a few hours. It was over text, and honestly, I can't remember everything that was spoken during that text conversation, but we did learn quite a few things. And one of the biggest things that I learned was from a story that one of the elders shared. And it was effectively along the lines of it's not only God's favor, His grace and mercy and stuff, it's not only over the good times, but also the bad, that we should rejoice in our suffering. Like in Romans 5, for suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And that it's just as much of a gift having the bad times as having the good times that are given to you. And that we should rejoice in our work and the pain, that it grows and sustains us in a way that helps us with the next time that something difficult happens. And it's really in any story that you read, in all the Bible stories and all that sort of stuff, it's not the characters that don't go through anything that you talk about. It's the characters that go through a lot that you can learn from. It's the when you look into any medium of challenging medium, any hobby, it's not the ones that are just talented that are good that you want to learn from. It's the ones that have worked at it and tried and pushed themselves to continue forwards as much as possible that you want to learn from. Because what do you learn from the person who has never really tried that, just got it from immediately? They're just they're one dimensional. They just have that one aspect of them that's really good, and well, they just can't really say anything as to how they got there. So yeah, that's something. So, slight change in topic. With work, it's been pretty busy. I actually lost my wallet somewhat recently. I don't remember if I've talked about that in these, but for a few days I was very worried because I had lost this wallet. I have my uh, I have my driver's license. I have my uh, all of my different cards in it, some cash in it. I had an access card, and just it would have been insanely difficult to replace all of this. And the thing is that the place where I'd lost it, it could have been anywhere in a large span of places. But when I went to the camp, sort of in faith that God would deal with it, that I didn't need to use these 3 days in order to try to search for it. Uh, there was, I got a text as we were driving to camp from one of the homeowners that I had possibly left the wallet at. And apparently, crazily enough, they found my wallet in a boot, in a hiking boot. My black wallet, while I was in their garage, probably when I took out my laser measure in order to measure the dimensions of the garage, it fell out of my pocket and just perfect three-pointer slam dunks directly into a soft boot so that I don't hear it. It's a black wallet, probably in a black boot. So of course I don't find it when I'm searching later. And there were other places where it was more likely to be, and so I was searching in those places more. Uh, and thank God they were going on a trip where they needed those boots. Otherwise, it would have been a while before they found it and gotten it to me. And they didn't take anything out of it as well. I noticed that all the cash was still there, and yeah. So, thank God for his protection and for his timing that, during that time where I'd lost my wallet, it was also pretty productive. I got a few things done that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. But yeah. Another thing in terms of work, I have a lot of work stuff to get on that I hadn't done because I didn't know that I was supposed to do it. Uh, so apparently every single time I got finished with my work, I should have done one last thing, which was email the homeowner uh, all the information. I thought that someone else did that. So so now I have like, you know, I've done it now with about 20 houses, so I have another like 20 houses that I still need to email all of the information to. So today I have my work in the evening. My first job is at 1 and my second job is at 3:30. So I suppose I have a lot of time in the morning to get all that stuff done. Yeah. So in terms of accountability, slight change of topic. Uh, it's been okay. I haven't. It well, yeah, it's been good. Uh, this sort of ties back into that conversation that I had with my friend, where what's to gain from marriage? That's sort of the topic of the conversation that I had with him. What do you have to gain from it? And is it really worth it to get married? Uh, and really, when comparing that type of relationship with like a relationship with God, it's very easy to see how us humans fall short, how our vows are very easily broken, and how our it's very difficult to trust another human being. Where, you could get married and they could stop loving you the day after you get married, and you are forced to love them back and stay in that committed relationship for the rest of your life, or rest of their life, rest of one of your lives. and and it's not necessarily going to be easy. The way he put it is that he it's almost like God's punishment for the way that we treat him. That he loves us unconditionally, and so when we get married, we're going to have to love someone else unconditionally. in the same way that he loves us. And, you know, that logic's sure. But, you know, there's so much to gain in my eyes that you wouldn't otherwise in just being single. You know, iron sharpens iron, and like when two stand together, they in unity, it's definitely stronger than the parts that make up the whole. So back to accountability. It's part of the reason why I am even being accountable in the first place is for my future wife, is for that reason. I mean, what I was doing before is despicable, don't get me wrong, and you know, I should stop for my own sake, for God's sake, for literally everyone in my life. It's made me a better person not doing that. But one of the largest draws is to try to save myself from being defiled, so that I'll be able to walk with as cheesy as it sounds, with Proverbs 31 woman, someone that I can trust, that I can praise, and that sows good and not evil. A righteous woman who can find? She's far more precious than jewels. Just reading that chapter is just puts a longing deep inside of me, and I feel like in the same way that God created us, and it was a big risk, and that it's produced pain, it's produced all sorts of suffering, but what the thing that's to gain is much more desirable and much more worth it than the pain and suffering that it's caused. That in the same way it is worth it for that reason, for the fellowship and for the union that follows with this enigma of a person that sort of brings you into a closer image of God, where this union of two flesh becoming one, becoming a more full representation of who God is. And even in the bad times, where it'll be an image of his pursuit of us. The pain of being rejected is his pain of looking at the lost ones. Yeah. $29. Yeah, so proverb down below. We'll see you guys probably within a week.